One of the truly wonderful things about doing Walk in the Garden has been discovering spaces that are just incredibly beautiful that I've never really noticed before. G'day, I'm Roland Hearn, and this is a Walk in the Garden. I'm here at Young's Crossing Park, and I'm looking for a space to do the Walk in the Garden. Walked around a little bit, and I have found a space that is a little path that I think is going to open up into something worth looking at. So I'm going to go this direction down here and find that little path there and see where I get to. So let's see. Those that know me know I'm always up for a little bit of an adventure. So when I say path, I think that probably from time to time people that go fishing have walked down this way. So let's see where I can get to. This is not much more than just a little worn track, if that, through the grass and lantana. But I have hopes. So let's see, shall we? How beautiful is this? Absolutely gorgeous. All right, well, here I am. Took a little bit of getting set up. I think I showed you just about 2 or 3 meters away, and then I turned around and there was this beautiful little step, clay step, but in the perfect posy just to do this. I think I got some pretty yellow flowers in the background. Hopefully that's you're able to see that as the setting that I'm in, and then I think you can also see the river down to the crossing, the place that is Young's Crossing. So this is really beautiful, and I'm looking out over here, and there's a little water fowl sitting on a log in the creek. Back to what I said originally, one of the things that has been really a personal blessing for me in doing the Walk in the Garden has been that I've been forced to try and find beautiful little locations around my home area and around my city of Brisbane, as well as a little bit more extensively, that I can do the Walk in the Garden, and that's caused me to look for things that I don't normally look for. But being forced into that situation means that every now and then I get to sit in these spectacularly beautiful locations, and it's a gorgeous autumn's day today. I think the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, a little touch of change of season in the air, a little coolness, and so it is absolutely beautiful. So what a blessing to be here in this space today. It occurred to me after last week's video, and then during the week I was watching a YouTube video that triggered the same thought. I've never really defined how we assess our worth. You know, I've said the struggle with worthlessness is a struggle with shame. The search for meaning is a search for worth, and that love and worth are two sides of the same coin. But how do we define worth? In this YouTube video I was watching, there was a gentleman, a comedian actually, who was wrestling with the fact that he was getting older and he was becoming an adult, and he was looking at the adult life. He was trying to work out what things would make him happy as an adult. And the particular video was considering the role that money played in the issue of worth. And he went around and interviewed people, some of them in total poverty, some of them incredibly wealthy. There wasn't any real connection between the amount of money and the level of happiness that he found. He found some people that were wealthy and incredibly happy, and he found some people that were poor and incredibly happy. But he remembers being a child and growing up in a very, very poor home and feeling miserable and feeling like if he could only get money, then he would be happy. And of course, many people could relate to that. And of course, that led me to thinking about how I've never really addressed this issue of how do we evaluate worth. I would suggest that when it comes to money, the extent to which the amount of money defines our worth is the extent to which we connect happiness to it. But if we don't evaluate our personal worth through finances, it probably doesn't mean a great deal to us, and we can have happiness either way. So what is it that defines worth? What is it that brings happiness? The truth is, it is a very subjective experience. The way that I assess my personal worth is going to be different from the way that you assess your personal worth. I have made the claim that we all struggle with shame, and that to one extent or another we have all struggled with worthlessness. But what that looks like in your life and what that looks like in my life are often two very different things. The experiences that I've been through, like jumping off a cliff, gave me an incredible sense of worth because of that accomplishment. But for someone else, it might be completely meaningless. In fact, they might look at that and say, you're insane to think that. The truth is that having said it's a very subjective area, I think that the way we evaluate worth actually comes from the life journey that we are on and the things that we feel like deprive us of worth over against those experiences that cause us to feel a sense of significance, a sense of worth. That might sound like a redundancy or a circular argument. In some ways it actually is, but there is this mix, this backwards and forwards between our experiences and our interpretation of them, the way we feel about ourselves and the way we project that back onto others and to experiences. Typically, if there's pain involved in a situation, relational pain involved in a situation, we will attach worth detraction to that experience, and we can see that in many different spaces. I read a study some time ago where it said that the height that people have, like their physical height, for some people is an experience of worth. People that are tall tend to have more confidence than people that are short. Society has ascribed value to height, and perhaps it is an ancient throwback to a time where the more height you had, the more capacity you had to dominate situations. We ascribe worth to height, and so those that are people that are short that have gained prominence almost become something of a talking point, if not an oddity. Certainly the words that you've had spoken into your life will add meaning to that, and so something like height has words to it. You know, it's not unusual for us to ascribe shortness to being badly motivated. So he's a mean little man might have nothing to do with actual height, but it is a disparaging phrase. So the littleness gets attached to the negation of that person's worth. So there's lots of different things in life that can have worth attached to it. Truthfully, words are amongst the most powerful. So if we've lived in a very affirming environment where words that have been spoken have been very affirming words, we will tend towards having the capacity to deal with our own personal struggle. Where we've grown up in very demeaning environments, very devaluing environments, where the words that are spoken are hurtful and harmful, we will often struggle with a sense of worth. And a lot of times people develop a thick skin, and they will even say that they have learned how to disconnect their worth from the words that they've heard, only to react strongly when certain things are said to them or described to them. Our situations in life can ascribe worth to us. Our physical appearance. It's interesting, isn't it? A scar on the face in some context might be a mark of courage. In another context, that's a disfigurement, and so we ascribe worth to the way that we look. Billions of dollars are spent on changing the way we look. People are rarely happy with the way they look. Our appearance has a great deal to do with how we feel about ourselves. Our academic accomplishments for some people are that. Our work environments can be that. Our family environments. Many parents ascribe their own worth to the accomplishment that their children have, and all of these things are external situations that are speaking into our life. But the fact is, all of those things actually attach to our own sense of who we are, and our own sense of identity, and our own sense of worth, and they define it, they enhance it, or they detract from it. And so it seems like this idea of personal worth really is a subjective thing. But here's the thing that I think points to where we get our own sense of worth from more effectively than just about anything else. What are the things that cause us to feel upset? What are the things that cause us to respond with anger, or perhaps depression, or rejection? What are those things? It's where emotions are strong. The flip side of that, when do we feel extraordinarily happy? Where do we feel potentially sad if something is taken away from us? As we begin to line those things up, we'll start to get a pretty good picture of how we understand our own personal worth. So it's worth actually taking note of those things. It is my experience that wherever strong emotions are found, you will have the idea of personal sense of worth being attributed. So take a personal inventory. Think about those things going forward, and ask yourself the question: what drives your emotions? What are the things that trigger your emotions? What are the things that you have identified that you attach your worth to? And are those things valid? Do those things reflect love? And this personal journey that we can take can be something that can be extraordinarily valuable to us. Well, thanks for taking the journey in the garden with me this week, and do that little piece of homework. Have a think about those things throughout the week ahead, and I'll see you next week as we continue to walk in our gardens. See you then.